Earlier in the week, if you were listening, you had a chance to meet Janice Puracal. Her brother, Jason. They're from up in the Seattle area. This guy seems like a really good guy. He was a great student, and when he was a teenager, he lost his way a little bit, family divorce, that kind of stuff. But he got back on track, pulled his life together, joined the Peace Corps. That's a pretty good guy, I would say. Joined the Peace Corps, went to Nicaragua. A hellhole you couldn't get me to go to a visit at gunpoint, but that's where he went. Met somebody, fell in love, had a child, was trying to be a good dad. You know what we need to put on our webpage, Brian? I stumbled on it. I don't know if I sent it to you or not, but I found this morning as I was looking around his RE/MAX real estate page in Nicaragua. He was selling real estate, and it looks like he still is. That really gave me a chill to see that. And there's a picture of him there with his wife, and it's just wow. But he's not selling real estate right now. He's locked up inside a place that is just this short of hell, a prison in Nicaragua. And there's no evidence against this guy. It's another one of those cases of an American just getting railroaded because they could. And the only way he's going to get out is if you take action, and I mean you, take action to get political figures in Washington to get involved in this case. And there's a way to do that. You just go to our webpage, KFIAM640.com. Look on the Bill Carroll page. We'll put that Facebook link up so you can see it. But we'll link you to where you need to go, and there's a little button you click on, and it shows you how to take action. You have to do that. That's what this is all about. And that's what Janice, his sister, was here to talk to us about. And just to remind you, in case you missed it, here's his sister, Janice. She's an attorney, and just when I looked in her face earlier in the week, she's trying to be brave, but you can see this woman is just she's almost unable to function with worry.
I'm his sister. I know everything that he was doing. He and I were very close. We talked all the time. But for another, I'm also an attorney, and I've studied this case from the beginning. And if you look at the case, you see that there is not a shred of evidence against him. There were no drugs presented in the case. There were no bank records presented. The prosecution's own expert testified that no money ever changed hands between Jason and any of the other people in the case. Jason was not permitted to put on any evidence in his defense.
So here's a guy rotting in jail. He's going to spend 20, 30 years there if nobody gets him out because they say he was involved with Mexican drug cartels and local drug lords. He said they didn't find any drugs. Yeah, he was money laundering through the real estate company. They didn't have any money. Couldn't find any money. And he's had ex-FBI guys and other people look into this case, and they just say it's not there. The evidence is not there. So his wife, Janice, is trying to get your attention.
People don't understand. They can't necessarily conceptualize this because we're used to the American system. We're used to there being checks and balances all over the place, and one rogue police officer is not going to have their way with the power. That's not what we're dealing with in a developing country. What we're dealing with there is corrupt police and an overambitious prosecutor.
That's his sister, Janice. I think I said wife there, but I've been looking at the picture of him and his wife on our webpage, and it's just she's on my mind. All right, so here's what we proposed to his family. Is there a way we can find to talk to him inside this prison? And we have found a way, and I can't tell you all the details of that because I don't want to jeopardize him in any way. But we found a way to have a conversation with him in jail and get his side of the story. We're going to let you hear that conversation coming up next. KFI AM 640, more stimulating talk radio. I'm Bill Carroll.
Listen to KFI anytime, anywhere with the iHeartRadio app for your smartphone.
An iHeart radio station. KFI.
More stimulating talk radio.
KFI AM 640, more stimulating talk radio. I'm Bill Carroll. All right, we're going to do this now. I got to tell you, I got a little bit nervous when we were trying to set up this phone call last night. Not for me, obviously. I just had this nightmare the night before because we were trying all week to set it up, that in the middle of the conversation, some guard was going to grab him and punish him for being on the phone. So we had to be really careful how we did this. You know what? Is this the U.S. State Department list? A diplomacy in action about Americans being held abroad. You know what concerns me is I don't even see Jason's name on it. That's how little press this guy's getting. And you know what? I guess we could spend all day trying to get Americans out of jail, but you got to deal with the ones in front of you, and this is one we found out about, and I've met his sister now, and I think this is really sad. This is really sad. This is a guy who wanted nothing more than to be a father, and he has a son, and now he can't see him. And he may not get to see his son grow up. And it's really, we've got video of this Nicaraguan prison. We live in a country where ultimately, our prisons can be pretty ugly places, but ultimately the Supreme Court steps in and says, oh, man, this is inhumane. Cut them loose, like it's happening in California right now. They would rather see prisoners out on the street than have them be uncomfortable for a night in prison. Believe me, that is not happening in Nicaragua. Nobody is stepping in saying emptying this prison. And it is way worse than anything you can imagine. And the other thing is, this is doable. We could get Jason out of this Nicaraguan prison because they count on American aid. You know that since 1990, the U.S. has provided over $2 billion in assistance, $489 million of that for debt relief, $488 million for balance of payment support, $94 million in 1999, 2000, 2001, part of the response to Hurricane Mitch. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. So if the State Department gets involved, this guy will get out. There'll be some payoff to some politician somewhere, and this guy will be out. And he's an American, and he deserves to have his government try to do something to get him out of there. And let me just also say, go to our webpage, take a look at all the video and the photographs, but click on the button we direct you to, KFIAM640.com on my page. If even a fraction of you listening right now did that, took that action, this story would catch on in Washington right away, and this guy could be out in weeks. But if you do nothing, nothing's going to happen. As you listen, go online and try to help this guy. So here we are. This was late last night. We stayed late to do it. Jason Puracal talking to us from inside a Nicaraguan prison. Hi, Jason. It's Bill Carroll. Can you hear me?
Yes, Bill. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, too. Before I start, I just want to make sure, is it absolutely safe for you to do this?
Yes, I'm fine.
Okay. Jason, we're trying to get people interested in your case up here and try to draw attention to it. But there are going to be some who are going to want to know in their hearts that you're an innocent man. Do you want to address that?
Sure. Bill, I know it's difficult for some people to question, to believe that I'm innocent, that the police would just pick up some random person and accuse them of 3 very serious crimes. And for people that haven't met me and don't know anything about me, it's very easy for them to just assume that I was somehow involved with these illicit acts. But I just ask anybody to look at the evidence. They're accusing me of drug trafficking without any drugs at all in the entire case. They're accusing me of money laundering with no money. And they're accusing me of organized crime with 10 other people that I had never met before. So my sister has a copy of the transcripts of the trial and everything, and I'm sure she has a summary of not only all the human rights violations, but the constitutional and international law violations. You can see that the prosecution has not presented any evidence at all, and apart from that, their witnesses have contradicted themselves in their testimony in trial.
So why do you think that you're there then? What would motivate someone to put you behind bars for probably the rest of your life if you didn't do anything wrong?
Bill, that's a great question. I don't know the answer to that. I've been, thinking about that question every day for the past almost 13 months now. There are many theories floating around of people wanting to confiscate my office, confiscate my house, for political reasons, for police that are corrupt. I really don't know what the motivation is for why I'm here.
We're talking to Jason right now in a Nicaraguan prison. I want you to know what that background noise is if you're listening to us right now and just joining us. Jason, can you tell...
I'm sorry, can you read that?
Go ahead.
There's a TV on the background and a radio, and people talking in the office here where I'm allowed to use the phone.
Yeah.
I got permission to use the phone.
Jason, I've seen some video from inside that prison. It does not look like a pleasant place to say. It's this side of hell, just barely. What's your life like every day in that prison?
The prison is pretty disgusting, Bill. It's filled with cockroaches and ants and scorpions and mosquitoes. My bed, where I sleep on, which is a thin foam mattress, is infected. All the cells are infected with what they call elipates, chiggers. They're like a tick that bites you and sucks your blood. And so it's not clean. It's dirty. It's dusty. It's hot. There's no clean water. You got to fight every day to fill up a bucket to be able to bathe yourself in with a pan of water and wash your dishes. The food here is basically rice and beans twice a day, and it's I already had serious health issues from eating it because they dope it up with some kind of like baking soda substance, bicarbonate, that is supposed to make the prisoners feel full. There's fights all the time, every day. Just 2 days ago, the guards beat up one of the prisoners. Last week, two guys that were trying to rob me robbed another guy and beat him up and gave him 2 black eyes and a broken rib. So it's basically a struggle just to survive.
Have you been abused by your fellow inmates or the guards physically?
I've been verbally abused by some of the guards. I've been lucky enough not to have been to be able to avoid most physical confrontations. I basically just do whatever the guards tell me to do, and the prisoners, I basically just try to hide in my cell most of the time and try not to socialize with anyone. By law, they're supposed to keep people that are foreigners separate from the locals. They're supposed to keep people that are not convicted yet separate from those that are convicted. But here they just mix everybody up all together. And from day one, I've been with murderers and drug addicts and rapists and other actual drug traffickers.
Jason Puracal, inside a Nicaraguan prison, the conversation we had last night. I got to get a little more personal with him when we return to this conversation. KFI AM 640, more stimulating talk radio. I'm Bill Carroll. Chris has an update first.
Can't get past a screener? Go to the official KFI AM 640 Facebook page now.
KFI, more stimulating talk radio.
KFI AM 640, more stimulating talk radio. I'm Bill Carroll. Just in the middle of airing this conversation I had late last night with an American man who's being held in a Nicaraguan prison, and nobody really is talking about him. I did see in the Seattle paper today a couple of lines about the fact that there are a few political figures in Washington who are now getting involved, trying to push Hillary Clinton to do something about this. Hillary Clinton could make this happen in days. You know what? We got a lot of clout when it comes to Nicaragua. They need a lot of what the United States has to offer. And by that, I mean mostly money. The State Department gets involved and squeezes them on this. This guy, right now, they're holding him because there's nobody asking to get him out. And I believe, having spent some time looking into this case, that Jason Puracal is in prison because I think his sister really explained it best. They were trying to make a case against a bunch of drug dealers. They had to be able to explain to the court the kangaroo court, more like it, but they had to say, well, where did the money go in this case? We think this American guy used his real estate agency to launder it. And then nobody asked the question. He didn't get a chance to defend himself. They couldn't show any trace of any money going anywhere. They didn't find him with any drugs, but now he's, a drug dealer in a Nicaraguan prison for decades, left to rot? They know they don't have any. They don't have enough evidence to hold him if there's any push. Here's the problem. Jason is not a pretty young blonde white girl. His family has roots in India. He has dark skin. At first glance, he kind of looks like he could be a drug dealer. And believe me, the longer you spend in a Nicaraguan prison, the more you look like you could be a drug dealer. You're not going to be clean shaven and looking good in a place like that. You're literally fighting to survive almost every day. You sleep with one eye open. You're looking over your shoulder at all times. I want to help this guy get out and raise his son. And I think you should want that too. And if you go to our webpage right now, KFIAM640.com, there's a way you can take action and get this husband and father who dreamed of nothing more than being a dad, help get him out of jail. It's easy to do. Now, to lure you there, we've got a photograph that I think a lot of you will find intriguing. And we will try to answer the question coming up at 2:50. Why are these two nearly naked women doing that in front of a child? We will try to explain that. Now, if that lures you there and gets you to take action, because I bet, Brian, we won't get more than 5 or 10 people right now, and we can measure it. We'll get 5,000 people who want to look at two women who are nearly naked doing that in front of a child. Larry's already going. He's going there now to look at that. But, if we got a few hundred people went to that page and clicked and sent a message out to the political leaders about this, it would start to get attention. And if one member of the media listening right now decided to take up this story, it makes all the difference. But we got to get some traction. We got to get some interest in this story because it is really a heartbreaking story. So late last night, I can't tell you how we did it. Getting a guy to it. You don't just call a Nicaraguan prison and say, can I speak to Jason? That doesn't happen. I don't want to give you the details. We may want to talk to him another time, and we don't want to jeopardize him. But let's pick up the conversation where we left off. We're just starting to get a little more personal about what it's like. What do you think about day in and day out when you're stuck in this prison? What do you think about most when you're in that prison and you have time to be alone with your thoughts? What is it that keeps you alive in there?
My son, my wife, my family. I basically all I've ever wanted to be in life was a father, and it kills me to know that it's been a year now since I've been with my son, and since he was born, I haven't been apart from his side for more than a couple days at a time, and I know he's suffering right now. He's wondering why his father was all of a sudden taken away. He hasn't been getting the proper education that he needs. He hasn't been in the proper health care that he needs because my wife is also a student in university, and she doesn't have any income. And so the police froze my bank accounts. They closed down my business. There's basically, they took away everything. And so my wife is struggling, and my wife suffers every day trying to bring me the basic necessities so I can survive prison life. And I just think about how much more they're suffering than I'm suffering.
Yeah, I just want to apologize to our listeners again for the noise. We're talking to him live in a Nicaraguan prison, and there's a lot of background noise. Not easy to get to a phone, so we're lucky to even be able to have this conversation. So just be a little bit patient with us. Jason, is your U.S. government in touch with you? Are they there to make sure that your human rights are being respected?
Bill, the U.S. Embassy did come on the second day after I was arrested because my mother was here visiting to do volunteer work when I happened to be arrested, and they kidnapped me. The police kidnapped me from my office without a warrant. My wife and my mother immediately called the U.S. Embassy. They came down. They gave me a brochure about different attorneys I could contact. They came and visited me a couple times in the prison during the first few months, and then I didn't see them for 5 months. And then my sisters were able to get the State Department to get involved, and they pressured the embassy to come back, and they visited me again. They came to my trial a few times, and I haven't seen them again since trial ended.
So do you feel supported by?
4 months ago. So,
do you feel supported by your government? Or
I do know that my sister and my attorney are in more contact with the powers that be, and there's more that's going on. I'm basically very isolated here. So,
do you feel abandoned by your government?
I can honestly say that I'm disappointed with the way that the embassy has reacted in my case. I know that there's a lot of things going on behind the scenes, but that I'm not, again, my sisters and my attorney know more about those things than I do. I hope that the government is, putting pressure on the Nicaraguan judicial system and the government here to do the right thing. But I really don't know, what's going on. So, in that regard.
So, what do you need from people listening right now? What can we do to help you?
We need diplomatic action from the U.S. State Department. We need them to put pressure on the embassy and on the Nicaraguan government to make sure, it took them 9 months for me to even go to trial. It's been 13 months since I was arrested, and it took them 9 months even to go to trial. By Nicaraguan law, you're supposed to go to trial within 3 months. And you can extend that if they call it a complicated case because there's more than one charge, it doubles the time period. So within 6 months, we should have already gone to trial. Well, they took them 9 months to get me a trial. Even after trial is over, it's been almost 4 months, and my appeal process has been delayed by the judge again in Levis. It hasn't been reached to the appellate court yet after 4 months. And so, the judge is just sitting on his hands. And so the judicial process is breaking down, and we need the government to kick it into action to get the appeals process up to the appellate court and to proceed.
And if that doesn't happen, if you started to think about how you live maybe the rest of your life in that prison, how to face that?
I try not to think about it. I don't know how long I'll be able to last. I keep having patience, and I do constant yoga and meditation to calm my mind and deal with the present day rather than worrying about the future. It's a tough situation, though. It's tough to deal with.
Well, you're not alone. There are a lot of people listening right now who will reach out to help you. I'm going to let you go, but maybe we'll talk again sometime, maybe right back here in the United States.
All right, thanks, Bill.
Okay.
Take care.
He tells me to take care at the end. This guy is in a stinkhole prison in Nicaragua. He tells me to take care. Jason Puracal is his name, and I don't think he's guilty of anything. I really don't. This is another case of guilty of being American. This is why Americans don't like to travel, right? This is exactly why. All right, I told him at the end a lot of people out there are going to help out and care and go to our webpage, and I actually don't know if that's true. I didn't know what to say. I think it's tough. I think he's not kind of a sexy figure for the media to pick up on, and he could rot because of that. It's just so unfair, right? It's when you're a man in this world, you get certain advantages, but at the same time, it comes with disadvantages. If he were Amanda Knox right now, everybody would be talking about this thing. But you can go to our webpage, and we'll give you all the links there. You can actually figure out how to help this guy, how to take action, because it really wouldn't take much. And I hope I'm wrong. I hope thousands of you will do that. Or go to my Facebook page and share the link that I put on where you can read more about him and take action as well, whatever you have to do. So my Facebook page, KFIAM640.com, go there, tell a friend about it, call a politician, whatever you can do. All right, let's move on from that. We'll continue to follow that story, though. I guess our next angle is maybe try to get somebody at the State Department and figure out what they're doing about it. Is he on the radar up there now? Are they trying to help this guy? Because he doesn't want to say it outright, but he feels abandoned by his country. You can get that sense from him, but he doesn't want to cut off that tie either. Doesn't want to be too critical. This guy's just hanging on by a thread. Anyway, up next, a different take on Pearl Harbor on this anniversary. Something you don't hear much about. What was Adolf Hitler thinking when he heard the news that the United States of America had just been attacked? KFI AM 640, more stimulating talk radio. I'm Bill Carroll.
Join the conversation now on the official KFI AM 640 Facebook page.
KFI, more stimulating talk radio.
Yeah, I might be a naive idiot. It's possible. I'm going to rule that out. KFI AM 640, more stimulating talk radio. I'm Bill Carroll. Nicole wrote me this email, and I'm not reading it to attack her, although sometimes I enjoy that, just attacking the people who write emails. But I understand her point of view. She says, Bill, you're being extremely naive in supporting this guy. This is Jason Puracal in a Nicaraguan prison. There are thousands of people who are being held in international prisons abroad for the same thing. You know why people like this guy are in jail? They get caught up with trying to make some quick money by smuggling drugs for shady drug rings. Why are you focusing on this? This guy is no different from all the other American idiots who are in prison for doing the same thing. You can call me a lot of things. I'm certainly not naive. Cynical, maybe. Skeptical, absolutely. But not naive. Here's why you got to rethink it. All we're asking here is that the State Department get involved and demand the evidence against this guy. If they can present the evidence and show that this guy was a drug dealer, tried to make a quick buck, I don't care how long he rots in a Nicaraguan prison. Sad for his son. Won't get to know his dad.